All right, y'all. Back again with another video. And I told you if you follow me on Twitter, we're gonna have a good video here for y'all today. But let's discuss something real quick. So there was some news that came out by Shams. If you don't know who Shams is, he's one of the elite reporters. Like if there's Woj and Woj bombs, there's Shams and Shams bombs, right? He dropped an article, and I didn't read the article per se, but there's some teams that, there were some teams mentioned. Hold on. Sorry, that was my school bell making an announcement. I couldn't wait to get home to do this video. I wanted to do it while I was still at my job. So yeah, I'm gonna stay at my job a little bit longer just to get this video done. But there were some teams mentioned in some trades, but the two big names that popped out on the Pelicans were JJ Redick and Lonzo Ball. In particular, though, Lonzo Ball was stated to have three teams that were looking to trade for him. One being the Warriors, another being New York, and I think the other team was Detroit. I'm not gonna get into Detroit. I'm not gonna get into the Knicks, but Golden State. I'll say this: I have my viewpoint on Golden State. It could be good and it could be bad. Um, I think he has some weapons. It's not ideal for me, but at least not until Clay comes back, and that's if they decide to keep him. But then you got a whole other list of issues. But it would be good for Steph. Um, but that's a big trending topic, and there's a lot of beef going on 12's Pale's Twitter today. There's some people that are happy, some people that are mad. There's some hateration going on. We ain't gonna get into that, right? Um, I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna leave this after I leave. I'm gonna leave this for another video. Um, when Clay comes back, if the Warriors kept Lonzo and they keep Wiseman and develop him, even after Steph and Clay, retire basically, the Warriors gonna be in good hands with just Lonzo and Wiseman alone, because Wiseman's gonna have all the scoring intangibles and stuff to be extremely useful next to Lonzo. Then they just got to get shooters and role players around him, and I think they would be amazing going forward under Kerr. Um, but let's do it this way, right? Well, like I said, I'm gonna leave that alone for another video. What I want to talk to y'all about was Lonzo Ball and his scoring. Cause you know me, I got time, baby. I got time. I look at a lot of film. I look at a lot of fucking film. So here's what I want to talk about. Lonzo Ball with the Pelicans. Granted, this is probably going to be a moot point if he ends up on the Warriors, but I want to go ahead and get this out here so you guys can kind of have an idea, right? There's some things that stuck out to me that I think needs to be addressed. Some people have already mentioned some of this stuff on Twitter, but after digging into the film, I want to give my take on it, right? I'm not going to use percentages for this video. Not because Lonzo's percentages are bad, but it's not about the percentages to me. It is about style of play, execution, and technique, and tendency. So, one of the first things I noticed with Lonzo tends to do well. Sorry. Okay, hopefully that's the last interruption. Lonzo Ball likes a lot of high pick and roll. So, uh, let me explain why. Or he needs a lot of high pick and roll, and I'll explain why. Okay, here's the thing with Lonzo. And you know what, maybe before I get in there, let me touch on something. Players. Lonzo needs certain kind of players around him. Shooters in particular, but whoever's setting the pick has to have the option to be able to step back and just shoot, because it gives him more floor space to work with, and it makes his decision making a lot crisper. One of the problems Lonzo has is when the bigs set the pick on this team without the proper floor spacing, he is not getting Okay, let me do it this way. Last year, for most of the year, they had Lonzo, Drew, Bi, Josh Hart, or JJ, and then Favors. So even though Favors would set the pick, you had three people who can knock down shots on both sides of the floor. This was before Zion. And so Lonzo had a lot more space to work with, more freedom to work with, especially in the mid range game. Um, he needs to high pick and roll with a big who can space the floor. If it's not a big that can space the floor, he at least needs the floor spaces around him to give him space. This is particularly necessary for this year when he's taking more mid range jump shots. And his mid range jump shot is not quite fast enough yet, and he needs the like he because see Lonzo's primarily like when he's doing his mid ranges, he wants to do two things. He just wants to pull up and stop and shoot, or he wants to pull up, fake it, like do either a hezzy or to a step back for his jumper. That's the two options he primarily wants to shoot out of. If he's going to do the hezzy into the step back, he needs that entire side of the floor spaced out, or he needs it in an ISO situation where it's just a two-man game. So that means the strong side is just him and the big, and then the weak side is everybody else. He did that with Steven Adams in a game off a dribble handoff where he used Steven Adams to rescreen Rubio, and he did his step back into mid range when he saw that I can't remember the guy's name, but Nas Reed, when Nas Reed was not going to come and step up on him to stop him from shooting. So he got off of him, stepped back, had plenty of space, got his shot off. He is going to need a lot more spacing on the floor to be effective in mid range with his scoring. The Pelicans right now are in situations where if he go get Steven Adams or Zion to screen him, the big can come up off of Steven Adams or Zion to help defend. And it's clogging the lanes. He's not getting the space he needs all the time. So for Lonzo going forward, he would need something like that to help him. Obviously we've mentioned different kinds of players, Kristaps Porzingis. That would mean he have to go play on the Mavs. Um, players like Miles Turner, Brooke Lopez, which he had on the Lakers his first year. Players like that can get him, can make the decision, can step back and clear out the lane and force the big to either have to defend Lonzo, which means he gets to pass to his big, or they will stick with the big and he gets to beat his man because his first step is pretty good. Um, he can beat his man to the rack for an easy bucket. That is something he's not getting this year. Again, if you do that with Steven Adams or Zion, one of them is still sitting back there with their guy to clog up the lane. So he's having to shoot in traffic. It's not a good look for him. Now, a lot of this stuff I want you guys to understand is also a problem for BI and Zion. But the thing is, Zion works in the paint and he doesn't take the mid range, so he's automatically dealing with that. But he's so strong he can overcome it. Bi is just a better shot maker than Zoe, so he can, in his intangibles, his length and size is an asset to him, more so than it is for Lonzo, because Bi is like what 6'9", 6'10" almost. Lonzo is 6'6", and even though he can shoot over people, he's still not like that guy who could shoot over like a big who's like 7 foot that easily. That's not gonna work for him as much, especially if there's someone like JaVale McGee or something who's kind of athletic, or Dwight Howard or something like that. Um, so that's number one. Number two, since I've kind of mentioned his first step, Lonzo Ball is extremely quick. He's extremely quick with the ball. And because he's so quick with the ball, he needs to be able to go from point A to point B. He's not shifty, so he needs a straight line dash. If you're going to play him, that's why in transition he is extremely good. He can move around a little bit. He can dribble you around and kind of turn you around, but he doesn't really do these, the what is that? The Euro step. He doesn't have all these other shifty kind of moves on him. I don't know if he'll ever be that kind of player. So Lonzo is going to have to get straight line attacks at the basket. That means if you're going to play him off ball, what is the best way to get him open? He needs to be the screener for somebody. So for Lonzo, in situations that have helped him, it's when he gives the ball to someone else and goes and sets the screen, and that will get him open if he's cutting. You're gonna need someone who is smart on the ball and can read the options and can get the pass to him. Since I mentioned Golden State, if he does this with say Draymond and Steph, so here's how this would work. I would imagine, you know, he brings the ball up the court, gives the ball to Draymond. He goes baseline, set a screen for Steph, who's going to come outside to get the shot. The minute Steph comes off that screen to shoot, Lonzo is heading toward the bucket. If they hedge and cut off Steph, Lonzo's getting a free shot at the basket. And he's gonna make those. He's gonna dunk it or he's gonna let up. He's gonna make those. That's where he's gonna be extremely effective. He's athletic enough, and it limits all the other movement options that he really don't use or incorporate in his game. So if I'm Lonzo, if I'm building a team around Lonzo, I want to try to make him a cutter off the ball. Some of the stuff I've told you guys before, but after looking through film, and more film, it's becoming pretty evident to me what kind of player he is. The 3-point ball, he doesn't show a lot of. Okay, let me do it this way. So, Lonzo with his 3 ball, Lonzo overpredicts the capabilities of other players surrounding him on the defensive end and on his team, but particularly on, when it comes to defenders. So there are times when Lonzo will give up the 3-point shot because he's thinking, by the time I get the shot off, and I think this could be a residual thing from when he had his old shot. I'm not sure. I'm really not so sure. I'm not sure if it's necessary because, okay, his old shot, he had to bring it from the side of his face to line it up as he was shooting. This shot is just straight up. I think Lonzo, because what I'm seeing is there's a little bit of hesitation on the jumper, and it's usually, when I look at him, it's like, if I was him, I was like, why would I hesitate? The only reason I could think is either I don't think I have enough time to get my shot off, which that could either mean he doesn't trust his shot, which I don't think that's the case necessarily, but it could. I remember OG Ricky said he don't look like he trusts his shot. So that could be the case. Or it could be he is overestimating the athletic ability of the other players in the league, and maybe he thinks by the time he gets his shot ready to go, and this could be muscle memory or from in his head from his previous shot, that he will give up the shot because he don't think he'll have enough time to get it off. So with that being said, I would like to get a lot of Lonzo off-ball threes. Same concept applies. I'd prefer it if he's going to be off-ball shooting threes, he screens for the screener, or like in Steph's case, you set a pin down, he's running, he gets the open shot attempt, no hesitation. When he's coming, okay, if you've ever watched Steph Curry play, Steph Curry will run baseline, he'll run to his spots, he gets the ball, he shoots it. He's rarely looking to see where the defense is. His screener, he literally digs into his screener and catches it right off his screener and shoots it. That's a high-level vet technique. Some players, when they come off the screen, they leave a little bit of space so that the opposing defensive player can actually sift through and get a hand on the shot. Steph actually grinds his body into the other person off the screen, his screen setter, to get his shot off. It limits what the opposing defensive player can actually do to affect his shot. And so I think Lonzo would have to be used in a similar situation, where if he comes off that screen like Steph, his first shot is it's automatic, no hesitation. If you do that enough, I believe Lonzo will trend up on his 3-point rate. I think it will bode well for him and his shooting and scoring in the future. If you combine some of that with what I'm telling you about him getting into his mid-range spots, and taking his jumper, I think you're going to see a tremendous benefit to him. It's working, and truth be told, even in his mid-range scores, like a lot of times it's based on the positioning of his players. I've seen situations where Zion was not in the picture and he waited for Zion to get Zion the ball. I also saw where there was defenders in his way, and rather than take the mid-range because he had his guy in jail and he had like two guys here, rather than take the mid-range, he would rather put Zion, who's stronger, into a position to catch the ball in momentum and give him a free shot at the basket plus free throws. Some of his decision making is really I'll put it like this: there are some situations where he makes bad decisions with attacking with the ball, but I think that's a lot. I think a lot of that is being oversold. I think a lot of that is his dependency on Zion and the others. And I've said this before. I don't think he views them as equals in terms of scoring, but I think he views them as superiors in terms of scoring. Guys, because I'm trying to get all this in a video, and I don't want to be here at school too late. Let's see. Okay. So that's what I want to talk about. I'm trying to think of all this stuff. I didn't write this stuff down. So the other thing is Lonzo has certain spots on the court that he likes to shoot. So let's pretend like you're looking at the court overhead. Let's pretend he's at the top of the key. So you got the free throw line there. He's on the perimeter where the three ball starts. That little elbow area and like to the left is like one of his hot spots. That's where he likes to shoot his mid-range shots. He needs to get there a lot. I would like to see him coming off curls to get a catch and shoot from there. I think that would help. Also on the right elbow, I don't see him liking to use that right space as much, even into his step back. I don't know what that is. It could be uncomfortability with the shot. Maybe it's handles. I'm going to have to take a deeper look into that. Maybe ask someone who understands shot mechanics. But I've noticed on that right side of the court, he does not tend to do his step back as much. He was doing this even with the Lakers with his other shot. Again, this could be residual years of repetition that he's having to unlearn. So to me, it's like, okay, we got to see more long term to see what this becomes. He did very good last year for just changing his shot. 37.5%, 38%. That's phenomenal for a guy that's a 6% increase basically. That is ridiculous in the league. Like, especially on higher volume, the highest volume he's had in his career. So it's trending up, right? But again, Lonzo's spots, as far as that mid-range, he likes like that entire little left crust of the court on that left elbow. That is where he wants to get in range to shoot his mid-range jumper. I don't like his floater right now. It's way too inconsistent, and there's something I could tell he don't have confidence in it, and I don't know if he just didn't drill it enough or what the case is, but he's just not been hitting that at all this season. He needs to go work with Key and Chris this offseason to hammer that home. It may just be one of those things where he's just not really good at it, but I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of the synopsis for who he is, in my opinion. Lonzo is one of those guys who he wants to get down the court. He wants to straight line drive. He don't want to be too shifty. He don't want to make too many subtle movements. Like, he just wants to get to his spots and take his jump shot. And he's going to, a lot of his attacking the basket is going to be dependent on the big and the matchup. If you give him a versatile big, it eliminates a lot of that. He becomes a much better player because now the big kind of makes the decision for him. If the big doesn't go, he has to attack, right? And he'll make that decision based on that. If you got a Brook Lopez and he sets the screen and Brook doesn't crash the basket, he can't look for him. So what does he have to do mentally? I have to attack. If you go look back at some of the Lakers tape, he was using that to get to the rim. And like I said, his first step is fast. He's one of the fastest players with the ball in the league. He's underrated for how athletically gifted he is in that vein. And his ability, one of the things too is when he was in LA, he wasn't that strong. He's extremely strong now for when he came back into the league. He was scrawny. So some of the things he couldn't do in LA when he was with Luke Walton on that team, he could pull off now that he's been in the league. He's worked out for a little bit. Okay, so I don't want to get too much into Golden State, but let's talk about this real quick. I'm just gonna touch on the fit real quick. Lonzo, okay, so Lonzo will be next to Wiggins, Steph, Draymond, Looney, and Wiseman this year. Wiseman recently got benched in favor of Looney. Here's my thing. Steph don't want to play on the ball. He wants someone to get him the ball. Lonzo can get him the ball. That would be his job. Wiggins doesn't mind playing off the ball. He has to have a little bit of learning curve, but he started figuring it out. So with both of those guys playing off the ball, that frees up Draymond Green. Draymond can sit up and spot up and shoot. Now, the problem with Draymond is going to be Draymond is just not a good shooter. Kevon Looney, matter of fact, here, I'm on my computer. Let me see. Let me see what Kevon Looney is shooting this year from three. I really am interested in his stats right now. Okay. School computer's not going to let me look at that one. Basketball reference. Okay. He's shooting 40% from three this year. Let's see. He's not taking that many attempts, though. But if that's a thing, and how tall is Kevon Looney? 6'9". If him shooting that three ball is a legit thing, I'm gonna say this: they got enough floor space for him to be like, he can like. Okay, here's the way I look at it. It's one thing if you have Draymond setting the pick, because they're probably not gonna play the pick and roll high. They're gonna fall back and let Lonzo make his own decisions and defend his decision making. If you got Looney and that shot is there and consistent, Lonzo has someone who can space the floor and will make the decision making for him a whole lot easier. Because if Lonzo can start attacking the basket because the big is making a decision for him by not crashing with them, then now Lonzo has to finish and his mindset changes, and it makes a whole world of difference for him. He can finish at the rim. Don't get it twisted. He can finish at the rim. I think, again, on the Pelicans, he's not going to get these opportunities. He's just not, which is why the story came out anyway. Now, the Golden State bench has some weapons that he could use. I think he'd be good playing with their bench unit, especially. I'm not going to say I like the fit yet. I would have to see it in action and see how Kerr gets him involved and run stuff and all this other stuff. I could see the potential where Lonzo could come and have a good season like we all thought he would have this year. But he's not going to get that. The only way he would get that kind of season in the Pelicans is if B.I. or Zion got hurt and they had to feature him in the offense more. Matter of fact, if Zion got hurt, it would mean now there's more floor space because you got to play another shooter. You got to play B.I. at power forward, so he spaces the floor. So you either got to play J.J., or you got to play Nall, or you got to play Josh Hart. And if you're going to do that, you got shooters all around. That's going to make B.I. better. That's going to make Lonzo better. It's going to make Bledsoe better. You know, everybody on that court is going to play on a better rate because Zion's defense is so bad. All right, my bad. That's probably going to be the last interruption for this video because I'm about to wind this down. But look, My assessment of Lonzo is this: Lonzo is not a bad player. Don't let the Pels media fool you. Don't let them, brainwash your thinking on how well Lonzo can play. A lot of his shooting percentages is based on the same stuff that's affecting Bi and Zion to some degree. All the entire team shooting percentages are down from last year. Okay, it's the spacing is horrible. It's not a position where any of them want to play it. Even Bi's position or his scoring and stuff is down. So what I want you guys to do is think about this. Lonzo, plus really Bi and Zion all need different situations. I think Lonzo and Zion together would work. I don't like Lonzo and Bi because Bi needs to monopolize the ball right now. Unless you play Bi off ball, but that's not going to happen. The stories have always been said that hey, their core is Zion, Bi, no Lonzo, so, and they're willing to move off Lonzo. If for Lonzo to have the type of career we expect of him, he needs a team that's going to space the floor, and he's going to have threats. Steph is the biggest threat you could give him, truthfully, and Steph is going to work with him because Steph don't want to be on the ball. That backcourt would work just off of the simple fact that Lonzo will play defense. I sound like LeVar just off of the fact. But it'll work because Lonzo's going to guard. Basically, Lonzo can be Klay Thompson for this team, but without the shooting that he has. But I think Lonzo would trim back up on this team. So he may be able to replicate some of that with the playmaking part of Draymond. It'd be an interesting little core or a little dynamic, especially next to Wiggins. Um, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna get too much into this on this video because I'm gonna do it on another video. But Lonzo, I think, could salvage this season if he gets traded. And the sooner he gets traded, the better because he has more games to get reps in and to improve his stock. If you wait till like the last minute or the trade deadline, it's not going to happen. And if he stays on the Pels, it's definitely not going to happen. Listen to me, guys. The Pels is not the team right now for Lonzo. They just don't have enough. And to be honest, if they're going to build around Bi and Zion, they don't need Lonzo. They want to get minutes for Kira. They want to get minutes for now. But it's hard to justify playing those guys when you have Lonzo, who is clearly better. Like, think about this. If he was not better, he would be benched. Gentry benched him last year to try Nall and some of the other guys, and they just weren't good enough. So he put Lonzo back. And Lonzo, like he said, after a while, he got fully recovered. He was healthy. He took off. This is the same situation. You can't put Kira in and Nall because they're not better than Lonzo Ball. And the reason he's getting interest is because teams know what he can do. Trust me on that. But anyway, y'all have a good day. It's your boy. I hope you guys like this video. I plan to do more of this when he gets traded. If he gets traded to the Warriors, I can't wait to dig into the film and break that down. But, don't expect much from Lonzo on this team. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. I know we was trying to be conservative. I know I was. I said between 14 and 18 points and like 7 or 8 assistant rebounds. It's never going to happen on this kind of team. But on the Warriors or some other team like that, Lonzo can get his stats and more. He can score. It's there. He has to get the reps. He has to be in a situation that benefits him. I'm telling you guys, if he gets in the right situation, his aggression on offense will get an uptick and he will be a more efficient scorer. Don't worry about that 38% bullshit from the field. It's a lot more convoluted than that. Y'all have a good day. Peace.